Hi everyone, this is Ivy, your host of the Canada Immigration Channel. I'd like to say thank you and welcome to all of you, my faithful subscribers who have subscribed, liked, shared my videos on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'd like to say thank you to all of you who have commented and have liked my videos. Thank you and welcome again to another insightful video. Today I'll be talking about the Federal Trade Workers Program. The Federal Trade Workers Program is one of the three immigration programs that the government of Canada runs through the express entry system, through which immigration applications are processed for potential candidates who want to come to Canada and reside permanently. The Federal Skilled Trade Workers Program focuses on skilled workers. So some terminologies might say technical workers. And so this program is directly focusing on getting skilled workers that are needed by provinces and territories to come into the country and to reside into the country and work in their fields. The minimum requirements for applying under the Federal Skilled Trade Workers Program is number one, language test. You would have to undertake either an English language test or a French language test, whichever one. There's different language tests that you can explore. At the bottom in the description section of this video, I'm going to leave a link to the government website where you can go to see all of this information in details, and you see the different language tests that you can take if you're taking tests for either English or French. Another of the minimum requirements to apply under the Federal Skilled Trade Workers Program is that you must already have 2 years of work experience in that trade or in that occupation for within a period of 5 years before you submit your application. 2 years of full-time work experience, or if it's part-time work experience, the hours should match up. So that would be almost twice the number of years you need for a full-time employment. But that employment must be within a 5-year period before you submit your application for the Federal Skilled Workers Program. Another thing that you might need. So the 2 years of work experience that I spoke about that you should have within a 5-year period is the requirement. If you don't require a certificate of qualification to work in that trade in Canada, a certificate of qualification is it's a qualification that you get from the regulatory body that regulates your occupation in a particular province or territory. And so you might, like for example, for teachers are not under the Federal Skilled Workers Program, but I just give it as an example. For teachers, it's a regulated profession. And so for you to work as a teacher in Canada, you have to get the certificate of qualification. And so depending on your trade or depending on your occupation, you might be required to get a certificate of qualification. You can browse and check Google to see if your profession or your occupation or trade requires you to get a certificate of qualification in Canada. If it does, then the years of experience that you've accumulated in your occupation really doesn't count without a certificate of qualification. You might be required to get a certificate of qualification. Another of the requirements is you might need to get a valid job offer for at least 1 year to be able to apply under the Federal Skilled Trades Program. Or if you don't have a valid job offer, then you should have a certificate of qualification from that Canadian province or territory or from the federal government in that trade or occupation you want to work in. So it's either or. Either you have a valid job offer or you have a certificate of qualification from that province that you wish to work in. I'll be talking a little bit about the work experience that you need, and I'm going to be reading out those occupations through that can apply for the federal skilled trades program. Number one, if you're in any of these occupations or trade, then you can apply to the federal skilled workers program. Firstly, industrial, electrical, and construction trades. Secondly, maintenance and equipment operation trades. Thirdly, supervisors and technical jobs in natural resources, agriculture, and related production. Fourthly, processing, manufacturing, and utilities supervisors and central control operators. Fifth, chefs and cooks. Sixth, butchers and bakers. So if you fall under any of these categories, if your job falls under any of these categories, some of them are major, some of them are minor, and in between these jobs, they are not codes. So these are just the headings. In below these jobs, like there are subtitles. It's like this is a title, and then there are subtitles that are related to that heading. And so, for example, for the butchers and bakers, there are other occupations that might fall under that category. But the only way you can know that the only way you can know if your occupation or trade falls within any of these major and minor category I've just called out is for you to know your NOC code. The meaning of NOC is National Occupational Classification. It's a tool that the government of Canada created to describe in details all the responsibilities and roles of a particular job function, and each of those positions or each of those occupations have their own code. And so, for example, as an accountant, you would have a code attached to that occupation. As a lawyer, you have a NOC code. As an engineer, you have a NOC code. Depending on your occupation, there are NOC codes for all that. The link I'm going to be leaving in the description section, you would see, once you click on the link and you go into the Canada government website, there's a link there for NOC classification. So the NOC occupational classification, you click on it and then you scroll through it to see which one closely relates to your current occupation or to your current trade. It has the roles and responsibilities, so you should be able to tell which one is closely linked to what you currently do. And so that's the skilled work experience that qualify to apply through the skilled trades program. Now, another of the requirements is education. Education is not a requirement to apply under the federal skilled workers program, but if you have education, it would increase your points. And so the express entry system, pardon me if I didn't explain that at the beginning of this video, the express entry system is an online system where you can submit your application for permanent residence. It's basically 2 steps. The first step is that you create an express entry profile with your education, your age, your work experience. If you have a valid job offer, if you have a nomination certificate from your province, you check all of those boxes and you create your express entry profile. Once you create that express entry profile, you're given points depending on each of those factors. And that point will determine if you will be invited to apply for permanent residence in the next round of invitation that is usually issued. And so that's how these things work. And so if you have education, it gives you more points, but you don't have to have education to apply for the federal trades skilled program. You don't have to have education, but if you have education, good for you, because then it gives you more points. And if you have education and your education was not obtained from Canada, then you would need an educational credential assessment. An educational credential assessment is a report that is issued by some bodies here in Canada that says the equivalent of what your certificate or your degree is to the Canadian degree. So for example, if from your home country you have a BSc of 3 years and you send your transcript to the evaluation body, your school your educational institution sends the transcript directly to the educational assessment credential assessment bodies here in Canada, and they evaluate your transcript. They might match your they might match your education, your foreign education to a four. They might equate it. Sorry, they might equate your education to a 4-year BSc in Canada, while in your country it was a 3-year BSc. So it depends, but you would have to get that report if your education is foreign, so that the Canadian authorities would know what your education equates to in Canada. Another thing that you would need, as I mentioned in the beginning, is a language test. You can either choose to do the English or you can do the French test. And you have to get a minimum score in order for you to get adequate points that will give you increase your chances of getting an invitation to apply for permanent residence. Then you need to also get accessed by the province or territory that you'll be residing in. You have to get an assessment, meaning you might have to be given an opportunity of experience or training by an employer in order for you to know how the occupation or the trade is done here in Canada. It might be different from how you're used to it when you were working back home than what is being done here in Canada. And so, but that will require you to be present in the country. If you're not getting a certificate of qualification for that trade or occupation, you might need to be present in the country to be able to get practical experience, but of course with the right documents in order to be able to get that. Now, once you create your express entry profile with all of this information that I've mentioned, your language test, your educational credential assessment, if you have education, remember education is not compulsory for you to apply through this process, but if you have, fine and good. You fill in your age, you fill in your adaptability factors. What falls under adaptability factors? If you have a second language like French, or if you have a relative that lives in Canada, it gives you more points. Once you fill in all this information, when you create your express entry profile, the next thing that you're required to do is just sit and wait to see if your points will be called in the next round. Your points will reach the cutoff score in the next round of invitation. If your points reach the cutoff score in the next round of invitation, then you are invited to apply for permanent residence. And at that point, you'll be required to submit an application for permanent residence, your final application. Once you receive that email saying submit an application for permanent, once you get an email saying you've been invited to apply for permanent residence, they would list out in that email all the documents that you need to submit, and that would include your proof of fund, that would include your medical exam for you and all your dependents that will be coming to you to Canada. That would also include your police certificate for you and any of your dependents that are above the age of 18. You would have to get a police certificate. And so when you get this document, it's at this point that you'll be required to scan the soft copy of your language test and the soft copy of your educational credential assessment report. You scan all these, submit your proof of fund, submit your educational credential assessment, your police certificate, your medical exam. You submit it as your final application, and if this is approved by your visa officer, then you are issued a permanent resident visa. This is all you need to know about the Federal Trade Workers Program. If you have any questions, please feel free to post it in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer you in a timely manner and on time. All the links to this information that I've shared is posted in the description window, and this is free information that is readily available for you to access. The proof of fund that is required for you to come to Canada under the Federal Trade Workers Program is also available on that Government of Canada website. All you need to do is just click the links and it keeps opening up to you. Depending on your family size, you need a certain amount of money that you should have to enable you settling properly when you come into Canada. I wish you all the best in all your endeavors, and remember, stay safe and be good. Give somebody a smile today. Don't be angry for any reason. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. Cheer up, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.